Drake opens up about why he hasn't gotten married, and we're going to discuss this clip from Very Awkward Podcast with a girl named Bobby Altoff, I think. So we're going to react to this clip. Before we do us a quick favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it.
Why'd you get married?
Because why not? Why didn't
Why
you
do
get
people
married?
get married?
Why didn't you get married?
I don't know. It seems like not too I don't know. It seems like a thing of like ancient times or something. Maybe.
You're never going to get married. You just said that earlier. You said you were going to get married to someone who wasn't famous earlier.
Yeah.
So
I think I will eventually. You asked me why haven't I gotten married?
Yeah.
The truth?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I can offer somebody what they'd be looking for right
Why?
now. Just consistency. I think my life, my work is my priority.
Mm-hmm.
So then I wouldn't want to not be able to
sleep around,
contribute as a partner.
Sleep around. Don't lie. We know what people
glimpse
do.
into what your relationship is like. Judgy.
It's Very Awkward Podcast. That's kind of the whole point of it. I guess Bobby's a comedian, I think, of sorts. She has a weird style of comedy that's kind of like dry but awkward. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
big for me.
Yeah, when we first saw like an article that was talking about this, you had I thought like interesting point of view of it. And I want you to kind of share that first.
Yeah. So my thing is, first, well, it seems like they had a previous conversation before having that interview, or at least that clip. But I want to address what he said first, and that was, he said it seemed like it's something of like old times or ancient to get married. And so first he criticized it, and I'm just like, that's not true. And you know, a lot of people who are married or have gotten married, it's very present day, you know what I'm saying? This is very common. So to me, that right there was an excuse. But then, and she even brought up, and in the article, it said that he's thinking maybe eventually he would get married. But it came to this part right here, and this is the part I liked. He said he knows that what he has to offer basically would not be beneficial in a marriage. He said he would not be able to give time and attention to that other person because of his busy schedule, and that's what he's about right now. It's just his, life goals, things that he want to do, things that he want to focus on, all about him, and continuing to grow his platform, because we know he's Drake. And so I appreciated the second half, which came out to me as the truth. In a marriage, you have to put in time. It's work. We know we are married, and we have to put in work. You have to have time set aside for that person, make dates, show them that you care, all of the above. And so just get straight to the point. You know that you're not ready for that type of commitment. It probably wouldn't end well because you're just about you right now. And she even went further to say you don't have to have the commitment and you can just sleep around. That's her words, not mine. But I'm just saying, yeah, I appreciate that part. Forget all the other stuff he said.
So you think he was kind of beating around like the bush?
At the beginning, yes, for sure.
Yeah, so my takeaway was it seemed like it was just like complicated for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it was interesting. Like, I don't feel like he was trying to give like a cookie cutter type of answer. I feel like he was trying to be somewhat introspective. I know leading up to it, you didn't see the whole thing, but I kind of was watching, skimming through the beginning. And, it was kind of like real awkward, like little jokey type, banter between the two of them. And it kind of got to this more serious type tone and stuff where it's like, I feel like he was trying to be more introspective about it. But at the same time, I think, he started off kind of like telling on himself. He was like, it's kind of ancient. And I think why he said that was because probably just looking at the industry that he's in, as a hip hop artist and those around him. Sure, there are people that are married. I mean, the top artist, one of the top artists in hip hop history, Jay-Z, is married to Beyonce. So it's not like marriage is just completely like out of the question for all rappers. Snoop Dogg has been married to the same woman for many years. Ice Cube married to the same woman. So marriage isn't something that's foreign to hip hop, but it is something that is not discussed nearly as much as the girl they're gonna smash the next day, or all these other different topics that they talk about. It's very rare that you see marriage talked about in hip hop. Um, so or discussed by even the rappers. It's just something that just kind of happens, kind of like a completely private life in a sense. So marriage isn't a foreign thing, but at the same time, the narrative of it definitely seems ancient in the messaging that someone like Drake or a lot of the rappers like in his circles and the type of style of music that he makes, which is largely centered around, him being, this guy that's like, promiscuous, that's, always talking about women, his situations with women, heartbreak, all these different things. But I do see an openness to it, but an acknowledgement that, hey, I'm not in a place where that would make sense for me or the person I'm with.
For sure.
And it could just come down to, like he said, yeah, he want to, sleep around still. And it could be that simple, but it also could be, in addition to wanting to sleep around still, just knowing he doesn't have a steady life. The character he's created himself to be now as this mega superstar hip hop artist, and even in the R&B type of sphere too, with some of the singing, just the different genre blending he's done. And I think it was Kanye that said this, where it's like being famous sets you back like 10 years or something like that in life, or it stops your growth. And I think that definitely transpired with Drake. And I think on one hand, he could say like, yeah, I got all these different things I'm doing. I'm chasing after these goals I have. I'm a workaholic. I'm in love with my career, which is, music artist and all of that. I think there's truth to that, but I also think there's just a lack of willingness to see past that and to see like, okay, well, how can I continue my legacy? I mean, I guess, and then I guess that also goes to the other thought, which is you don't have to get married to have children, which a lot of these guys are like figuring out and just kind of navigating. Like, yeah, I can have children, I can have women, I can have relationships, I can have all these different things, but I just don't think, and then what we talk about here, and a lot of times it might get lost in the shuffle. What I'm going to pass it back to you is, we're not condemning anyone like Drake. We don't want to come off as judgy or anything like that just because we're pro marriage. We actually celebrate people who are honest about where they're at. Now that doesn't mean that we want them to stay in that state. Like, I don't want Drake to just forever be this person that he is. I want him to move past that at some point. I want him to get to a place in life where he can settle down and things like that. But I actually celebrate people that are honest about it. It's like, hey, I'm not ready for that. Versus a lot of guys that just think the natural progression. One thing that I do think is ancient, that I will agree with Drake on, is not the idea of marriage, but the idea of, you have to settle down at some point and get married. And that's just the end of the discussion. You settle down. No, I don't think marriage is for everyone at every point in their life. It might take you till you're in your 40s to be ready to settle down. Not because you're out here with all these different girls, but your life isn't put together in such a way that would be conducive to marriage. So some people, it might take longer to get married or to do that. But if you're forcing it, you're actually working against your prospect of being a good partner. What do you think about that?
No, I completely agree. And like I said before, I appreciate his honesty about that and how he's not being able to commit that time to someone else right now. Doesn't have to be Drake. You can be a regular person with a regular job.
Right.
If you're not able to show that commitment, give that time, make that sacrifice for your potential partner, then yes, you are not ready for that if you want a successful marriage. This goes for anybody. And one more aspect that I do want to bring up is that she said he brought up that he would probably want to marry somebody who was not famous. And I see a lot of famous people saying that, but they also, it's weird. It's like two parts to it. Some of them want to marry someone who's not famous and just like, just a regular down home type of girl, things like that. But then they don't want her to go out there or be with them for their money. Then you talk about like the prenup and all that stuff right there, because they don't know this world. And so it's like, wow to me, and you're Drake. Yeah, you cute, you fine, But I grew up listening to your music, whatever. And then the other part is some of them want someone who is down to earth but is famous because they know what that world is like. So when they see a music video with women all over him, they're not getting jealous because they know what it's like to be that star, and they look at it like you're being an actor in the moment, but I really don't care about these women. So I just thought that was a different dynamic too, because I know a lot of men are saying like, how do I know they're here for me and not here for Drake? So that's another part which could be causing him to hesitate to even think about marriage, and I get it. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. I think generally people have their desires and stuff. So like Drake might say, you know, I like to be with somebody that's not in music, but generally speaking, most people get married with people they're in close proximity with. So if you're in college, you're more likely to find someone in college, you know, that's, you know, getting their degree than you are to find somebody that's outside of that circle. If you're really in tune with your church community, you're more likely to find somebody in the church. If you're constantly in a club, you might find somebody at the club. If you're there multiple times throughout the week, every weekend you're at the club.
Yeah.
If you're, I can just keep going on and on.
Yeah.
You're wherever you put yourself
Work is your
at.
life.
If
How
you're
you
your
gonna find a
job,
coworker?
exactly. People
Yeah.
talk about, you know, companies have rules against like, you know, you dating people that you work with and stuff like that. But generally speaking, the people that get together most are coworkers because you're
All the
spending at
time.
least 8 hours a day with them Monday through Friday. So it's like, yeah. So it's more likely that you're going to get with an entertainer, another person in the entertainment sphere, because that's what you're around. That's someone that you could talk to about things that actually understand where you're coming from. So I understand the desire to want something outside of that, but generally speaking, that just isn't how it works. There are exceptions to it, but that's kind of how life functions. Wherever you put yourself is where you're going to, you know, really look as your pool of people and like who you're going to connect with. So I thought that was an interesting part too, but those are our thoughts on this. We love to know what you all think. We're going to always push marriage at the end of the day, but we're also open to knowing that people have different paths. People put themselves through different things, have different routes and goals and things of life. We actually prefer people to be upfront about whether or not they want to be married versus just that being ambiguous or you change. It feels like you switch up in a relationship. So those are our thoughts. We'd love to know what you all think. Leave a comment below. And before you head out, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.